Hello and welcome to the podcast. For those of you who are listening for the first time today, I'm your host. My name is Tabishima Ayede. I'm a former lawyer turned business consultant. And what I do over here every day is I solve business problems. All right, so today we don't have a business problem per se, but I had a rather interesting conversation with a new listener of the podcast. So let's call her Faith Infinity. I'm not going to use her real name just to preserve her anonymity for now. So let's just call her Faith Infinity. So, Faith is someone who is brand new in her sales career. She's only been working about 2 days. Before then, she has had a career in the, all I call it now, the hospitality space. She was sort of like a hotel manager or like a restaurant manager. And she's looking at us having a paid consultation. So I called her, we chatted a bit, whether we work together or not. There were some interesting kernels that we had in our conversation that I thought would be of value if I just come over here and, freestyle a bit, just in case there's anybody in her own situation who is considering transitioning from, a career into sales. So you are doing something that was not sales related, or maybe it was kind of sales adjacent and you had some customer facing responsibility, but you're now moving into sales gone gone, like you're now going to be held responsible for revenue. Perhaps there's a few things that you can learn from the conversation that I had with Faith today. And by the way, for those of you who would love to connect with me, just like Faith did, you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080 Then, if you don't have the 30, 40, 50 minutes required to listen to podcast episodes every single day, you can just ask to join my WhatsApp group. I'll send you the link, and there you'll be able to get the summary of every single thing that we talk about on the podcast in very quick, succinct bites, 3 to 5 minute read. And you can get the summary of all the stuff that we discussed on the podcast, and then key points, what you can do next, how you can apply these things, and move ahead to build your career or to build your business. Sorry, excuse me. So, yeah, so back to the conversation with Faith. So, Faith is brand new. She's fresh. In fact, when she first sent the message, in my mind, I thought it was 2 months. I didn't realize it was 2 days. So, it's when I called her that I realized that, oh, okay, she's only been in this for 2 days. And so far, she says she's not liking sales at all. And she says that she's not a salesperson and that she's overwhelmed. These feelings, be these instincts or these, whatever, excuse me, is perfectly normal. So I told her that nobody is, so excuse me. So I told her nobody is born a salesperson. There is no natural born salesperson. There is nobody who loves sales. I mean, realistically speaking, there's nobody who love like you're always in love with sales. The aspects of selling that we like, the aspects of selling that we don't like, but the relationship with our career is always an up and down thing, up and down, up and down, up and down. But if you're coming in new into the selling profession, just know that there's going to be aspects you like, there's going to be aspects that you don't enjoy. But don't feel like there's someone who is like a natural born salesperson and you are not it and you are not that person. Because the truth of the matter is that everybody can sell. Selling is a learnable skill. And that is one of the core tenets of the podcast. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do over here on the show. Because I want everybody to know that selling is a learnable skill, so you can sell. If you are born a noisy, quarrelsome person, you can sell. If you are born quiet, passive, you can sell. If you're tall, you can sell. You're short, you can sell. You're handsome, you're ugly, you can sell. You're pretty, you're a beauty queen, you can sell. You're a bodybuilder, you can sell. Christian, Muslim, you can sell. Atheist, you can sell. I hope you guys get where I'm heading. Everybody can sell. It's a learnable skill. So don't let the fact that you show up for 2 days and you're like, what the hell? Don't let that deter you. It's normal. And that happens to everybody. In fact, I remember briefly while I sold financial services, I can remember my first week. I just kept thinking to myself that, Lord have mercy, how am I going to do this? Because it was a lot. You learn different kinds of investment classes, different kinds of investment products, the different features of. I'm like, how is one person supposed to remember all of this? So it can be overwhelming, especially for those of you who used to collect salary before. Because the thing about salary earners is, whether you hustle or you don't hustle, the salary will come. After a while, if your boss is frustrated, he'll say, "Oh yeah, come and be going," then they'll sack you. But as a salesperson, the eye is on you. That you guys perform. By month one, month two, if people are not seeing anything, they start frowning. So yeah, it can be overwhelming. But then this whole thing of not liking sales, see, this is the main problem. And this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast. The thing is not that you don't like sales or that you hate sales or whatever. It's just that this world is brand new. You don't know what to do. You don't have the playbook. And so because of that, it is scary. So Faith, you used to be in the hospitality space. If you put me in the hospitality space, like I'll be scared on day one and day two. Okay, I know how to talk to people, but how am I going to remember who has what order? If there's a delay in the kitchen, like how am I going to handle like what's going on? You know, I am used to doing things in a much more controlled environment. I have my keyboard here, I have my diary here. I finish having conversations with people. I make notes, things like that. So even if I see a missed call from someone, I can quickly check my notes, freshen up, and say, "Oh, okay, this guy," and then I call the person and have a conversation. But someone like you, Faith, you're on the floor. Somebody just comes in. You have to remember on the spot that this is Chief Adedeji, and he was here last 2 months when he and his wife were celebrating 50th wedding anniversary. Like you have to be quick and remember. Like for me, I would, man, that would be a lot. I'd fumble. I'm supposed to be remembering people just as they come in, and then I don't have time to just enter my phone real quick and then check one or two things. I remember, who Chief Adedeji is and what his children's names are, and then stuff like that. I'd fumble and I'd be scared. I don't have the training. I don't have the playbook. I don't have the frameworks. I don't have the processes. So for those of you who are saying, Kai, I don't like sales, that's there could be more other issues though. But the first problem is you don't you don't have the process, you don't have the script, you don't have a framework. That's the reason why you're scared. That's the reason why you're fumbling. And that's the whole point of the podcast. And I'm glad that she said after listening to a podcast, couple of podcast episodes, she was like, "Oh, okay, this is doable. I can do this." That is precisely the point of this podcast. I want anybody who is listening, whether you're 25 or 65, I want you to think, you know what? It could be rough, but it's doable. I can do it. When you get the framework, it's not as if you start loving sales overnight, but things will start getting a whole lot easier. So, like me, if you throw me onto the restaurant floor just like that, day one, day two, I will hit my life. But by the time somebody's like, "Young man, this is your first time on the job, Abby?" Yes, sir. I say, "Okay, young man, you go do it like this, you do it like this, you do it like this, you do it like this." After a while, I'll be able to fill into that space. I'll be able to put my own spin on it. I'll be able to be, I'll be able to put my Tavishima flair into the whole thing. So for those of you not having fun so far, you're not liking sales so far, excuse me, you don't consider yourself a salesperson so far, it's okay, that's fine. It's normal. Everybody goes through it. Everybody. In fact, Brian Tracy talks about his early days in sales. Go and listen. Grant Cardone talks about his early days in sales. Go and listen. Everybody talks about their early days in sales. There's nobody who said, "Oh, I landed on the floor. It was wonderful. It was nice. Excuse me. I was a genius. I was made for this. I was born." Nah, nobody. Nobody. Okay, well, apart from Gary Vaynerchuk, you know, although he likes to put a positive spin on on everything, but everybody else, they admit that, man, day one, I found Busha like it was tough. So don't worry, you're in good company. So she said she was overwhelmed by the level of competitiveness, and okay, yes, Those of you who are coming from outside, here on the inside, we get paid. In sales, we get paid based on results. So yes, it's competitive. People are moving. There's no sleeping here. So if before you worked in accounting department, whether an accountant hustle or hustle, the salary will come. So if as a junior accountant you clear 50 files, your Oga is lazy. He only clears 10 files. At the end of the day, Oga will receive his salary. You receive your salary. If they're frustrated with Oga, after a while they'll say, "Oh, yeah, Oga, come and be going." But Oga, who is not processing his files properly, can afford to sleep in accounting department for like 1 year before people know, hey, something is off, before they will sack him. But in sales is different. You guys also. So because of that, yeah, it's competitive. When you feel as if, I beg, I don't tire, let me rest. You sit down in your chair. Your neighbor now picks up a phone call. He has a meeting with a contact. He now goes into the field. What will you do? You sit down and be sorry for yourself. Meanwhile, all your colleagues, they're taking appointments and they're taking off. Anyhow, you stand up and you move. So yeah, it's competitive. So for those of you coming from the outside, I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's just competitive. But one thing you have to understand is that for lots of people, the experience that you have had prior, yeah, in your former job or in your former club activity or in your former church activity or in your former, there's lots of things that you've done personally or professionally that has prepared you in some way for a career in sales. I would have to talk to you individually, one on one, to be able to tease it out. But I have not met somebody who, whatever it is they did before, or whatever it is they loved before, or whatever, what do you call this thing? Uh, Extracurricular activity. Extracurricular activities. What I've not met somebody that none of these things that they did before did not translate into sales. None. Because take Faith. Previously, she was in a hotel chain. She called the names of the hotel. She called it Twin Waters, and of course, I didn't know who Twin Waters was. In fact, that's how she knew that truly, truly, I've not been in Lagos for a long time. As we were gisting, and she called the names of several hotels. Yeah, she was like, no, that truly, truly, you've not been in Lagos for a long time. So she used to be at Twin Waters, and she was managing. She was kind of like in a managerial position. Is it managing the restaurant or I can't remember anyway, but managing some aspects of it. So she was not responsible for revenue. She was not responsible for bringing the customers in. But you best believe anybody who is in that kind of position is responsible for a different kind of revenue. The person who introduced Chief to the restaurant to come and do birthday party, 50th year anniversary, him and his wife, okay, that is, a different kind of revenue. Then there's also the kind of revenue that Chief was impressed by how everything happened, and so Chief will come back again for his children's dedication or whatever, or come back again office promotion, or come back again, maybe uh Ogbomosho, old boys 1969 set, doing reunion or something, coming back again and again. That's a different kind of revenue. So people call that maximizing customer lifetime revenue. That's people keep coming back and back again. Some people call it repeat purchases. Whatever it is that you call it, that's a different kind of revenue. So Faith was not responsible before for bringing people inside for that first revenue, but Faith was responsible for that other kind of revenue, the one where people will come back and back and back. And she said she loved it, that she loved that aspect, and that she thrived in that aspect. That is very good. So in sales, we call that account management. Account management just means we have collected this one now. It is our own account. It is our own person. We now have to make sure that we do not lose that person, because if we lose that person, it is loss of revenue. So if Chief Adedeji comes in the first time to celebrate 50th wedding reunion, he and his wife at the restaurant, that is good. Somebody has closed the deal. But if we mess up and Chief goes to another hotel, we have lost the account to another establishment, and we have lost all future revenues that could have accrued from that. So you can see that even without knowing faith, by the time we have the conversation, I was able to point out that what you have done in the past has prepared you for where you are now and will even prepare you for where it is that you're going to go in the future. So wherever you are making a new career in sales, you can't think of it now, don't worry. But by the time you think small, meditate small, or by the time you talk to someone like me, we'll be able to show you that look, all these things you did in the past, this is how it will contribute to where you are now. This is how it's going to move you ahead, going to move you forward to where it is that you're heading to. So your previous experience, don't worry. You can't see it now. But one day you'll be like, oh, so that's how it helps. And that's why some people say that, oh, God's hand was guiding my life. Because you don't see how, but you reach a certain place, you look back and you say, oh, okay, this is how led to this is how led to this is how led to that. So don't worry. The previous experience will help you. Anyway, let's see. What else? Okay, 16 minutes. Our conversation was all over the place. Because usually when I call you guys, the conversation is all over the place. Because I'm trying to feel you out. I'm trying to see what makes you tick. If we end up working together, I need to be able to get a good sense of who you are. So I'll know where to push, where to really, really press, or where to relax when we're trying to help you get results. So these conversations are all over the place. So don't worry if you do reach out and then we're talking, and next thing we're talking about your secondary school. And don't worry, you might be thinking, how is this helping? Don't worry, I know what I'm looking for. But I guess the main thing I just wanted to say today for anyone who is discovering the podcast for the first time and you're considering a uh, a transition into sales, don't worry. That confusion that you feel on day one, day two is normal. Everybody has felt it. Everybody has felt it. So welcome to the club. It's part of our baptism by fire. I'm not saying that sales might not be a bad career for you. It might. I'm not saying that you can't use day one and day two to judge because that day one, day two, everybody goes through it. In my own case, week one and week two, when it came to selling financial products, what do I know about finance? You're not telling me about different asset classes and this percentage and that percentage. And if the person is above 65, it's this kind of product. If the person is below 18, it is this one. If the person is 35, but this, if the person has number of children, this, man, that thing was overwhelming. So you can't use day one and day two to judge. It's part of the baptism by fire. So everybody is overwhelmed. Then just know that whatever it is that you did previously, whatever it is that you did prior, is going to help you, excuse me, in this new role. You can't see it now, but eventually you will talk to someone who is more senior within the organization, or you meet someone whose voice you respect, and the person will be able to show you how what you've done in the past has prepared you for your current job role now. For those of you who have been customer facing before, believe me, whatever job you did has prepared you for your career in sales today. Even if you are not responsible for bringing them in, if you are like someone like Faith, excuse me, who was responsible for account management, meaning we have secured the client, they have come in. It is now time to deliver. It is now time to wow them. It is now time to keep them. Oh, believe me, you are ready for this profession. Because all join. We win business, we want to keep business. You will have to learn a few more things on the more proactive end about which customers to chase, how to start up the conversation with them, how to build the relationship, how to close the deal. You have to learn that aspect. But don't worry, you've learned one or two things. But then, in a special way, I want to talk to ladies, not just Faith, and not just Maria, the lady from Lebanon, and not just Natasha, lady from South Africa. Um, those of you who are stepping into a sales role or stepping into a situation where you are responsible for revenue, you're on the right track. You might not stay here forever with us in sales. You might move on to other things. But believe me, you are on the right track. The things that you will learn while you are here with us in sales, the things that you will learn about how to approach people, which people to approach, how to handle conversations, how to figure out people's priorities, how to figure out how their priorities align with your own priorities or motivations, how to move an agenda forward when you're having a conversation with people, how to close the deal, how to build partnerships, how to interact with different stakeholders. All these things that you will learn. Please, my sisters listening to the podcast, my sisters, my aunties, my mummies, because there's some of you listening who are older than me. Surprisingly, is it like 2% or 3% of the people listening to the podcast? I think they're like over 65. And I'm wondering, 65-year-old, why are you listening to a sales podcast? So, my sisters, my aunties, my mummies, my smallies, all the ladies listening to this podcast, you're on the right course. Even if you only spend 6 months selling and then you bounce, you're on the right course. You will learn a lot that is going to come in handy in managing personal relationships, in managing future business relationships, in managing your future business affairs. If you enter into a career in politics, it will help you. If you enter into corporate politics and you become, the CEO or the head of the board or whatever of whatever organization you work with, it will help you. If you open your own church, it will help you. No matter what it is, you're in the right place because there's lots of good learnable skills that you're going to carry away from your time here. So don't worry. Even if you spend 6 months in a career in sales and you flop and then they send you away, they say get out. No problem. Don't worry. The things that you've learned will serve you in the future. So remember, if you'd love to get in touch with me, just like Faith did, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you don't like these long episodes or you can't be listening to these long episodes every day, then ask for the link for the WhatsApp group. I'll give it to you. Once you join the group, you're going to see the podcast summaries of every single episode. In fact, as soon as I'm done wrapping up this episode in a few minutes, by the time I upload it, just give me like 20-30 minutes. The summary of this particular episode will be in the WhatsApp group. Just brief synopsis. This is what we discussed. These are the main issues. This is what you can apply tomorrow. This is the next step, blah, 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 stuff like that. So ask to be joined to the WhatsApp group. Get the benefit of the PDFs. And then whenever you're free, whenever you have time, you can come back and listen to the longer episodes. So Faith, shout out to you. Thanks for reaching out. 70% of the podcast listeners are male. So shout out to any auntie, any sister, any smallie, any, whatever it is you call yourself. Any female listener listening now, shout out to you. Welcome. You're in the right place. And don't be afraid to reach out. I know lots of the examples I use are guy related, but I'm willing to talk to anyone, male or female. All right, cool. So that's it. Catch you all some other time.